Hi, it's Tom from Lone Horizons, and I'm back with a short solo RPG idea that I wanted to try out. Basically, the idea was go through your massive backlog of free, pay what you want, and bundled RPGs that you have in a folder on your computer that you've never played yet, and see if you can sort of smash two of them together to make a little solo RPG. And I think I've come up with a good idea. Anyway, we're going to use Tunnel Goons, but from Highland Paranormal Society, created by Nate Treem. It's a really fun rules light 2d6 RPG. I think it was originally included as part of a zine as just a little kind of mini RPG, and then he's released it as its own game, and it's pay what you want on itch.io. I'll try and remember to put a link to the game in the video description, but if I don't, just Google it or something. You can manage that, I'm sure. So yeah, we've got Tunnel Goons, and before we get into the rules, we have also got Wallet Dungeons. The reason it's called Wallet Dungeons is because the rules fit on a business card, a bit like index card RPG, except that I guess an index card is a bit bigger than a business card. But I've printed it on A4 paper. Just took a bit of a sneezing break there. I've printed it on A4 paper so that we can see it on camera. And the fun thing about this is it's like a kind of dice drop mechanic for creating a randomly generated dungeon. So you get your D6s, and I didn't have enough D6s. I think I've got about 5. It could be enough actually for a 5-room dungeon, but I bought the cheapest D6s I could find in the world from an online retailer that you may have heard of, run by a bald guy starting with the letter A. These are like really cheap. For some reason, the 2s have the dots kind of that way rather than diagonally across the die. I don't know why, but there's just something off about these. That's why they're so cheap, I guess. But you drop them on the table and then you push them together, and you can see here when you've pushed them together, that gives you the layout of the dungeon. And there are rules for like adding the numbers on the surrounding dice to your die that you're checking out, and that will tell you what kind of room it is and stuff like that. And then you roll for an encounter in each room and all that kind of thing. So we're going to use these. The other couple of bits I'm using, one is Scarlet Heroes, which I love and I've talked about on the channel before. We're going to use that for treasure magic item generation, because I think that should be quite fun. And for traps, there is a free RPG called Osric. It stands for something, OSRIC. It's got a really good random dungeon generator in the back that's like the one from original Dungeons and Dragons. And it also has this random trap generation table, which I've printed out here. So if we encounter a trap, we're going to roll on that to see what it does. And finally, again, it's my zine, Hexcrawl Horrors, Random Wilderness Encounters for OSR Adventures. I don't make hardly any money from this at all, by the way, because it's pay what you want. Some people pay for it, but I'm fine with you not paying for it. I just really like using it because I made it because it's useful. So we are going to use this to generate encounters, but we don't need the basic fantasy rulebook, which this normally uses, as we'll discover when we get into the rules of Tunnel Goons. Anyway, let's unwrap these dice, find out if they're any good. Yeah, they should be fine. They're very light, as you'd expect, being cheap. But yeah, they should be all right. So we'll put Wallet Dungeons aside for now. That's a boon table I made for when we find a boon according to the rules of Wallet Dungeons. And we'll just quickly check out the rules of Tunnel Goons. I really like the artwork on the front there. So, here we go. So, the basic gameplay mechanic is the action roll. When an action's success is uncertain, a player rolls 2d6 and adds the score from the relevant ability and a point for any relevant items. If the total is equal or greater than the action's difficulty score, it is successful. And it's got difficulty scores, guidelines. Easy would be 8, moderate would be 10, and hard would be 12. If an action has a risk of danger, the difference between the roll and difficulty score is the amount of damage inflicted. So we've got a really good example here. As an action, a player character fights a robo-mantis with a difficulty score of 10. The player rolls 2d6 and adds 2 from their brute ability, 1 from their sword, and 1 from their shield. The total's 12. The difference between 12 and 10 is 2, so the creature takes 2 damage. A non-player character's DS is also their health points, so now the robo-mantis's difficulty score is 8. If the roll was 8, lower than 10, the player character would have lost 2 health. So it's like one roll, like player-facing rolls. The enemies don't get to roll dice or anything like that, so it makes the fights quite quick. And you lower their difficulty and make it easier to hit them each time you damage them, which is quite nice. Inventory, you have an inventory score. For each item that exceeds your inventory score, subtract 1 from any brute or skulker rolls. Abilities, brute and skulker are abilities. So these are your stats. Brute, good at smacking things, feats of strength, resisting poison. Skulker, good at sneaking, aiming, balancing, dodging. Erudite, good at reading, perception, speaking, and remembering. Okay, and that's it. So just 3 stats. There's no magic in this. I don't know if anyone's made a magic system for it, but it's kind of so simple. I guess you could probably just sort of make up your own magic system using the difficulty scores and things like that. So anyway, when your health points reach 0, you die. Level up every 2 game sessions. This isn't that great for solo role-playing, actually, because sometimes you play for like 10 minutes and other times you might play all evening. So you would level up. You could play for 20 minutes in total and level up, or you could play for like 5 hours in total and level up. I've always thought like the game sessions character advancement thing in RPGs is a bit weird. Healing, regain lost health points by spending the night in a safe spot. I don't think a lot of this will be relevant to us anyway. So we will go into character creation and get started. And I've got an idea for the quest that we're on already, because we're only going to be in the dungeon in this playthrough. But we'll go over that next. So let's see. Health points start at 10. Inventory score starts at 8. Roll a d6 on the character tables to determine starting ability scores and gear. Okay, so total health points are 10. And inventory score starts at 8. Okay, I'm just going to put 8 next to the inventory. Level will be 1. And so let's see. How do you determine your... Oh, it's here. You just roll on these tables and that tells you your abilities by doing that. Okay, right. We're going to save these dice for the dungeon generation. And I will get 2d6. So let's see, character tables. There's 3 rolls we have to do. Let's just do them all at the same time. Get another d6 if I can find one. Here we go. And I'll line them up in a row. Okay, so that is 3, 5, 3. So character tables. 3. His child is... We're going to be a young guy called Pip, I've decided. I was thinking of the Grail Quest series of game books by, I think, J.H. Brennan, that we had in my house when we were kids, and they were really good but really, really hard. If they're still available, you should track them down on eBay. They're really fun. And the main character in that was called Pip. So let's see. His childhood, he was a wheel rat. So that gives him 1 brute ability and a hammer. So I'll lightly write 1 in there in case we have to add to it. And he gets a hammer, so that could be his weapon. So I'll write that down. Hammer. Wheel rat. What do you think that means? I don't know. I guess that's up to us. Why don't we say in his childhood he was one of like many mucky boys that lived in a city and chased along after carts and tried to jump on and cling to the sides of the wheels. Well, the wheels are turning, aren't they? Maybe like some bit next to the wheel that doesn't move, and steal things off the carts that were driven by merchants. So he was kind of like a kind of ragamuffin in a big city. Okay, so his profession when he grew up, number 5, library guide. Okay, so that gives him 1 erudite and a lantern. That's useful. Okay, and so somehow he managed to get himself off the streets and into a library where he was hired as a guide who would walk down the aisles of bookshelves carrying a lantern so that sages could find the right book. And he couldn't read, but he picked up some kind of intelligence from them, from working with the sages in the library. All right, and then another 3, during the war. This is really fun. It's so mysterious because it doesn't actually explain that. What war? Who knows? It doesn't matter. Number 3, joined the rebels. So he's given a bear trap. Oh, but he doesn't get any additional points to his abilities. Okay, so he gets a bear trap. Notice none of these things have stats associated with them, but if we get a chance to set a trap for a monster or something, we could use that bear trap and add 1 to our roll for it. Okay, so his skulker is going to be 0, and he has 1 brute and 1 erudite point. So yeah, that should give him a decent chance. Additionally, each character starts with 2 rations, a cloak of their colour choice, and an item of their choice, pending referee approval. And there's no item list, so the item can be anything, basically. So let's say, so he's got 2 rations. His inventory score is 8. I guess a ration is 1 inventory point. I'm not sure he's going to need them on his 1 adventure into this dungeon, but they might be useful to throw at a hungry animal or something. A cloak of their colour choice. I'm not going to count that as the inventory items because it's part of his clothing. I'm just house ruling that. He's going to have a green cloak and an item of their choice. What could he have? He's got a hammer. He's got a lantern. Could he have some kind of useful item? Maybe a rope and grappling hook, because he's going on an adventure. Let's say, and that's going to be one item because it's tied together. Because that could be quite useful. I'm imagining we might end up having some kind of Prince of Persia style adventure here. I don't know. It could be cut short really quickly as well. That's the beauty of doing one of these sort of one-shot solo randomly generated adventures. Anyway, let's see. Oh, we've got to draw a portrait for him. All right, this is going to be really bad, especially if I'm nervous doing it on camera, because I'm really bad at drawing, especially characters. All right, so this is the main Tunnel Goon guy from the cover. Maybe he could look a bit like that. I don't know. Let's give him a nose like that, and pair of kind of nervous eyes and eyebrows like that, and a little mouth. This is really bad. I feel like he should be wearing... I'm imagining him looking like Link from Zelda. So I'm going to give him a kind of... Link doesn't wear a hat like that, does he? Like a gnome or Father Christmas or something. Okay, here we go. And he needs his green cloak. Oh, and he should have his lantern out, shouldn't he? I'm really bad at drawing. I can't help it, sorry. We don't want to spend the whole evening doing this anyway, just drawing a character who may well get killed any second. All right. There's the lantern. There's the cloak. It's kind of wrapped around him like that. There you go. And imagine it's green. All right. So there he is. We'll give him some tufts of hair coming out like that. Yeah, there we go. All right. That is Pip. Okay. Pip's ready. He's ready to go into this ruin that he's found. So basically my idea for the quest is that a random monster has been terrorizing Pip's village, and there's rumors that it resides in a ruined building outside the village in the wilderness, and no one else is brave enough to go out and find it and kill it apart from Pip. And I think we're going to first find out what the monster is. Let's use one of these tables, and maybe something that's going to be really weird. All right, the Wastelands table, page 20. We'll roll on that because it's got some odd creatures in it. Here we go. D100. 25, that's quite a low number. A giant fly. Yeah, why not? It flies out of the building, comes to the village and attacks it. And we're going to give it a difficulty score of like 11 or something. Okay? And it is a really giant fly. It's not like one that's the size of a dog or something. It's like really, really big. Imagine it's like the size of a room. The size of a living room in a small terraced house in London. That's what that, if you can sort of imagine that, that's what I'm imagining. Okay, so the way we're going to do it is we're going to use an idea from Scarlet Heroes, right? We know the giant fly is in there somewhere. We're going to go to the Dungeon Adventures page of Scarlet Heroes, Dungeons with Goals. So this is what we're going to do. Whenever entering an unexplored room in the dungeon, roll 1d20. On a 20, the villain or MacGuffin, Google the MacGuffin if you don't know what it means, is present along with the rest of the room's contents. If you've explored at least half the rooms in the dungeon, add a cumulative +1 to your roll for each room you search after the halfway point. If you reach the last room in the dungeon without finding the villain or MacGuffin, roll the d20 again. On a 1 to 10, they're not there for some reason, and you should consult the oracles for answers. On 11 to 20, they are found in the final room of the dungeon. Well, we won't do that bit. We know the fly is definitely here. So, it's going to be rolling a d20. After we've explored half the rooms, add 1 each time we roll it. And then when we get 20, that's him there. Hopefully that isn't going to take too long. But, you know, if we get to the final room anyway, we'll find the fly there. All right, so now to generate the dungeon. And I guess we need a bit of paper to draw the map. So I'll use this. And then I'll put that there. I've got this so that dropping these on the desk won't wake up the baby sleeping in the next room. So here we go. It's going to be 10 rooms, but it may not be 10 rooms depending on what numbers we roll. There we go. So now I've got to kind of push them together somehow in some kind of shape. All right, these are pretty obvious. They're like that. These could be like this. Then I got another 3 there. Why not put that one there? These 2 here. And this one, I don't think it can go diagonally. Oh, it could. I don't know. Let's just put it there. So that is the shape of our dungeon. Okay, but now we need to know what these things mean. Okay, so let's say this is going to be the entrance, and then Pip has to go through a kind of gauntlet of dangers down these rooms here before he can get in with properly exploring the rest of the dungeon itself. Let's see. Here we go. The first room is 4. So that is a crossroads, can touch up to 4 dice. Oh, well, it's not a crossroads because it's the first one. It's just a door there and a door there. So I'll draw this out. I've stuck this down so I can't move it. I'll just have to do it like this for now. All right, so we've got that's room 1. All right, so for each die, add its value to all neighbouring dice to determine its room. Oh, okay, yeah. So there's room types here. Halls and towers are single rooms with all their dice summed. Okay, so we've got 4 plus 1, so 5. It's a sepulchre. That is some kind of religious thing that you get in a crypt or something. I'm not sure. Okay, wasn't there some metal band with a name that sounded like that in the 90s and 2000s? I can't remember. Let me know in the comments if you can remember. All right, so this will be room 1, right? Now that is 1 sepulchre. I can't even spell it. Okay. Place an entrance where it makes sense. Okay, so yeah, we've got the main door there and then we've got a door there. All right, for extra detail, modify each room based on the lowest or highest neighbouring die. So the neighbouring die is a 1. 1 is ornate. Okay, so that is an ornate sepulchre. Now, when we go into it, we will roll an encounter there. But we'll do that as we go, as Pip explores it, so that we don't know exactly what he's going to find in each room before we do it. All right, next room is a 1. Dead end. Okay. How is it a dead end? Okay, well, in that case, why don't we change up the design a bit and put that there, because now it's a dead end, and that makes sense. So then we've got a doorway there. And the dead end, let's see, that is 5 as well. So that is the same thing. It's basically, this is sort of like one crypt kind of room. I'm going to Google what it means actually, because otherwise I'll spend the whole video saying the wrong thing. Okay, it is a small room or monument cut in rock or built of stone in which a dead person is laid or buried. All right, so it's a small tomb. So this building here, let's say, why don't we say it's like carved into the side of a mountain, and it's where the people of the village buried their dead long, long ago, or an ancient people buried their dead before Pip and his villagers were even there. So these are 2 tombs. All right, what is the second one like? 4. The nearest neighbouring die is 4. So that is highest crumbling. Okay, so that is a crumbling sepulchre. All right. So then the third room, that is a 6. Oh, hall. Merge all, can touch up to 4 dice. Okay, well, so that is like a great hall. And just by chance, the 2 6s that we've rolled are touching each other. So this is like one double size room. It's a big hall. So I'm going to draw that like that. Okay, can touch up to 4 dice. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's fine. Halls and towers are single rooms. So we only have to do like one encounter for this. So extra detail, highest neighbouring die is a 5. So it's flooded. Okay. So this is room 3. Room 3 is a hall. Flooded. Okay. And lowest neighbouring die is a 1. Ornate. Okay, I'm not doing well with the way I'm writing down my descriptions here, but it doesn't matter because it's just rough notes. Okay, so next, let's go left. That is a 1. So that is a dead end. Cannot touch more than 1 die. So why don't we move that to there, and have this 5 as the next room, actually. So that is going to be that door there. Let's see. So a 5 is a tower. Stack all the 5s. Must touch at least 2 dice. So here we go. It's now 3-dimensional. Both the 5s are stacked on top of each other, making 2 floors to the dungeon. Okay, so this tower, highest neighbouring die is 6. So that is damp. And 1, it's all ornate. It's all very ornate. So ornate damp tower. Right. Okay. And the next floor of the tower, halls and towers are single rooms. All right. So we will still only have 1 encounter for that. Oh no, roll an encounter for each floor of the tower, and hall. Roll an encounter for each die in the hall and combine them. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, we'll do that when we reach it. So here we go. Here is the tower level 1, 4, and then we need to do level 2 of the tower. We'll do it like over here, I guess. So that is L2, level 4. Okay, so there are, let's say there's stairs here. Don't know if you can see that. Okay, and next let's go east of the Great Hall. Number 3, split. Cannot touch more than 3 dice. Well, that's fine. It's just turned out to be a dead end, actually, rather than a split in the corridor. There we go. Highest neighbouring die is damp again. So that is a damp dead end. So the Great Hall is flooded and the rooms around it are all damp. Oh crap, I've been forgetting about the about this, haven't I? All right, so we had the sepulchre, the Great Hall. Do I have to roll for the Great Hall? I'm going to skip the Great Hall because I just imagine that's like a kind of meeting place. Number 4, the tower. Let's see, so that is 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 6 is 16, plus 1 is 17. So that is a shrine. So there's a shrine in the tower. Okay. Why don't we say the whole tower has like a big statue in the center of it going up to the floor above. So shrine slash statue, I want to put. Okay, yeah, and maybe there's stairs. Maybe there's like stairs around the edges of the walls going up. That's interesting. And the statue is of some ancient ruler from long ago who's now long forgotten. Okay, great. So that was the tower. And then this room, the dead end, that is 3 plus 6, so 9. It's a kitchen. Okay, great. Well, damp kitchen. A lot of us in the UK have damp kitchens because of terrible problems with like the climate being so wet all the time and stuff. Anyway, that is, damp kitchen. So what comes next? It's this room here. 1, dead end, cannot touch more than 1 die. So that could be swapped again. Let's just move it kind of here. Why not? We'll design the place ourselves a bit. So that means this 3 is the next room we're doing. So 3, a split, cannot touch more than 3 dice. I mean, I'm just going to kind of ignore that and say it's a room like this, and it's got a doorway into that room for the 1. Okay, so this is room 6. I hope you're following. I hope it's not complicated. I mean, you can see everything laid out here, so hopefully that helps. And we've almost finished generating the dungeon now as well. We can get playing. I'll try and play through it quite quick and maybe keep the video to about an hour. I think that would be a good length. So room 6, what is it? It's 3, 9, 10. Okay, adding all the dice numbers together. So 10 is a forge. Okay, that's interesting. I'll write that down. So 6, forge. So this place, it seems like it wasn't just used for burials. It was actually lived in, and that had people living and working in it. Maybe the shrine took so long to build because it was a huge statue that they had to have workers living here, eating in the kitchen, being provided food, and making their tools and things in the forge. And that's why you've got these things here. Okay, so the forge, highest neighbouring die to the forge it's always 6, isn't it? So it's damp. And then the lowest is always 1, usually. Ornate but damp. So this place was very well designed, with a lot of care taken to kind of make it decorative, everything. So damp, ornate. Okay, so that was room 6, and then we've got room 7, which is just a dead end. Why don't we put a door from the kitchen to room 7 as well, so that we can have some options for how we move through the dungeon. So room 7 is a 1, and that, let's see, that is 3, 6, 7. That is a storeroom next to the kitchen. That makes sense for it to have a doorway there then. Okay, so highest neighbouring die is a 3, and its lowest is 3 as well. So 3, trapped. That's interesting, because that could be trapped could be one of the encounters you roll. All right, so that's definitely trapped. And 3, opulent storeroom. Maybe it's got lots of luxury stuff in there. Or it did have at one point. Maybe the treasure's been looted or something. So 7, storeroom. And that is definitely trapped. We don't need to roll for traps on there. Trapped and opulent. All right, and there we've got our dungeon. So that is that's using 10 d6s. It's not a big dungeon, actually, is it? At all. I sort of imagined it being bigger, using 10 of them. Anyway, that's the dungeon generated. So now Pip's ready to get in there and start exploring this ancient burial site, which was also a kind of workplace and living place for the ancients before Pip's people came here. And he's trying to find this giant fly that keeps flying out of here and attacking people in his village, stealing livestock and things, flying away with them. So yeah, let's get started. Firstly, I suppose we've got to roll a d20 for the first room. So Pip, he's travelled to the mountain. He's got his lantern out and his hammer in the other hand, and he comes into, I guess it's like a cave entrance. Any doors that were on the front of the mountainside have long been rotted away and destroyed. So he comes into the first room, which is this ornately sculpted and decorated tomb, where I guess there are like sarcophagi dotted about with just dust in them now. because they're so old. So let's roll a d20. If we just randomly roll a 20, then the fly is in here along with anything else we find in here. I really thought it was going to be a 20, and then that would be it. Okay, it's a 3. All right, so how many rooms are there? There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 rooms. So once we get to the 4th room, I'm going to just put a tally down here. We've explored rooms explored. 1. And once we get to the 4th one, then we start adding 1 to the dice roll each time. Okay, so in here, in this tomb, what is there going to be? We'll roll for an encounter. 4, nothing. A moment of respite. Okay, so it's just completely still and dark in here. So he decides he's just going to slowly and methodically search the whole place. So he sees the door to his left. Or let's say it's a doorway to the next, because this is really just like one big tomb, I think. So he'll go through the doorway and stick his head into the second part of the tomb. And we'll roll for the boss. 18. And that's the second room explored. Here we go. And then roll for the encounter. 5. Opportunity, obstacle, and boon. Okay, so an obstacle is a passive harm. A threat is an active harm. An obstacle is a passive harm. So what I was thinking of doing is, if there's something obvious in here to be the obstacle, based on the descriptions that we've generated, then we'll use that. If not, we'll roll for a trap. So I think, what is it? It's crumbling. So we could say, like, as he's exploring, he kind of knocks into a pillar carved from the stone of the room, and a big chunk of it falls off, and he needs to dodge out the way of it. Now, how hard is it going to be? I don't know. Why don't we, as it's our first obstacle that we've got to get past, why don't we make it easy to dodge? So that would be an 8. Now, he has no ability in Skulker, which is basically the dexterity ability in this game. So he can't add anything to that. He doesn't have anything that's going to help him dodge out the way. So he's going to have to roll an 8 or more to dodge this big chunk of stone falling on his head. He gets a 6, so he doesn't dodge it. That means it hits him and damages him for 2 hit points. So he's now down to 8. Okay. So yeah, he doesn't see it because it's so dark, and let's say it just crashes down on his shoulder and bruises him quite badly. Okay. So that's the second room explored. He then can't find any more doors or doorways out of here. So he goes back into the first tomb and then pushes open a set of double doors into a huge great hall, which is filled with water. Now, is the water going to prove a problem? We'll find out when we roll for the encounter. Firstly, let's roll for the giant fly. 7, no, okay, and that's the third room done. And then we'll roll for the encounter. 3, nothing. Okay, so the room is flooded, but and the water kind of gushes out through the doors as he opens them, but it's just like, ankle high, ankle deep. So he's able to just wade through it easily. The water has destroyed anything that was in here. Maybe there's kind of a hole in the ceiling of this great hall cave, where the rock has worn away, eroded away, and maybe an underground river has burst through and is just pouring in, and that's what's flooding it. So he moves through the great hall, and ahead, actually, I think there should be a doorway here. I forgot to put one at the north end of the hall. So ahead, he sees another door, maybe a set of double doors like the ones he came through. And to the west, he sees a door, and to the east, there's a door as well. So I'm not sure which one he would go for. we got a choice of 3? Why don't we roll a d3 with west, north, and east as the options? 2. So he chooses to go north. I like doing that sometimes when I'm, because I've got more information than he does. I let him choose what he's going to do. So that is room 6. That's the forge, the damp ornate forge. So the water has damaged this room, and he goes in here and he sees what is like a forge and old bellows, tools, pincers and pokers and things like that, and lots of like old rusted metal and things. So let's see if the fly is in here. A 1. No, it's not. So we've now explored 4 rooms, and that means next time we will add 1 to that die roll. And then I think the time after that we add 2. I can't remember if that's what it said actually, but we'll go with that until we get to the fly. And so we'll roll for the encounter in the forge. A 1. It's a threat, an active harm. Okay, so we've got some kind of monster in here, and what we're going to do to determine the monster, we're going to use this, and we're going to base its difficulty score on what it is. So like how far down the table it is, because the monsters get harder as they go. And why don't we use there's the tombs. The tombs table would be quite good for this, wouldn't it? Because we are in a tomb. Let's use that. Okay, tombs. All right. Roll the D100. 12. A giant centipede, a classic fantasy RPG monster. Okay, it's giant, like the giant fly. I think it's got to be quite hard, really. The giant fly is difficulty 11. Let's make the giant centipede difficulty 10. Okay, and it's going to be hostile, I think, because it's horrible. It's a horrible, disgusting monster. Or actually, shall we let it has to be a threat, an active harm. So it is trying to harm us. So yeah, it is going to fight us. Okay, so its difficulty score is 10. And I am just going to make a note here. So giant centipede. Because you don't have to journal when you're doing solo RPGs. You can just do this, have a little sheet and make notes on it. And that works fine, and it lets you just get through it. If you want to play something for an hour and you don't want to spend half the time that you're playing writing up as your character's diary or something, you don't have to. Okay, so he is going to be difficulty score 10, and that's also his hit points. So we will roll. We are going to add 1 for our brute point, our 1 brute point, and 1 for our hammer, because that's our weapon. Here we go. 9, 10, 11. Okay, so we've hit it, and I think that means we do 1 damage to it. Yeah, the difference between what we rolled and... Yeah, so if you do have to roll higher than the difficulty score in this case when you're fighting. So we've done 1 damage to it. So it's on 9. Okay, and then it doesn't get to have a turn. This is the turn. So we bash it with the hammer, and it kind of bounces off its sort of fleshy body. Okay, so that is a 10, 12. So that is actually 3 points over its new difficulty score of 9. So we do 3 damage to it. So it's now on 6. So we give it a big crack on its back, and some goo oozes out of it, some kind of orange goo. I'm imagining the centipede is kind of bone coloured, or beige or something, and it's got this horrible orange gooey blood inside it. So now we're rolling over a 6. 5. So plus 2 is 7. So we managed to do 1 more point of damage to it. And it's now on 5. This fight's going really well for us. That is a 5, so 7, that is 2 points. It's now on 3. So we bash it on the head, and it kind of makes a horrible kind of screeching sound and rears back in pain. All right, and you can see the fight gets easier and easier. I'm not sure if that's like a good thing or a bad thing in terms of the gameplay mechanics. Okay, so that is an 8, so adding 2 is 10, and yeah, we smash its head in, and it explodes in the orange gooey blood that we saw just now. Okay, so there's no treasure in here, because that would be a boon. Is there ever an active harm and a boon? No, not together. Okay, so he searches around the forge, can't find the giant fly or any treasure, and he decides to go to the next room to the east. So he opens that door, and it's the trapped storeroom. Okay, so we know it's trapped. We'll roll for the fly. That is a 6 plus 1 is 7. So we're now on plus 2. Yeah, we've rolled for the fly. We've still got to roll for the encounter, but we do know there is a trap in here as well. A 1. There's an active harm, a threat, a monster and a trap. I wonder if we can, using our erudite skill, I wonder if we could intelligently lure the monster onto the trap. Let's see what it is. Let's see what the monster is first. So if I go to the tombs table again. 77, that sounds hard. A plague hound. Okay, I'm not going to go away and look in the basic fantasy bestiary for that, but I imagine it's a horrible big dog with like foaming jaws, like it's got rabies or something, and it's covered in boils and blisters, and it's just completely mad, and it's going to charge at us. But there is a trap in this room, and I think we should start the fight by seeing if we can lure it into the trap. So let's see what the trap is. It's quite fun. This is a D100 table as well. 12. Ceiling block drops behind the players. Oh, okay. Well, that's not really going to work with our plan, is it? So it drops behind you as you come into the room, sealing off the door, I suppose. Luckily, there's another doorway in here to go through. Where are we? Yeah, we're in the storeroom. Okay, so that just happens. The ceiling block drops and blocks the door, so we can't retreat because the hound is between us and the other door, so we have to fight it. I'm going to say this is going to be quite hard as well. Let's say this guy is, yeah, I guess a 10 as well. So we'll fight it, the plague hound. Hope we get to find some useful items or treasure or something as well. What have we got? Oh, we've got the rations. Shall I see if I can just throw a ration at it and then run past it and get through the door to the kitchen? Let's try that. I've also got the bear trap, but I'm kind of feeling like how we're not going to have time. It's already seen us and stuff. We don't have any skill in Skulker to use to sneak around before laying the bear trap. So I think we're just going to throw a ration at it. We could even throw both rations and add 2 to the roll. Can we use our erudite ability here? What is it for? Hang on. Good at reading, perception, speaking, remembering. Okay, I don't think we can use that. We could use Skulker because it's like good at aiming, so you'd throw it into the dog's mouth or something. All right, so the dog's difficulty score is 10. I am going to roll and add 2 for my 2 rations and see if we can get it to eat the rations, okay? 6, 7, 8. Okay, so it doesn't work. Both the rations are crossed off and lost, and I think we will count that as us getting bitten as well. So that is a 6. So that means, wow, we lose 4 hit points from the plague hound's bite because our failed plan didn't work. And we are now down to 4 hit points. Wow, that's bad. Suddenly things are taking a turn for the worse. And we're just going to have to fight it with the hammer. All right. We've rolled really badly. 4. So we're adding 1 brute, 1 for the hammer. So that is 6. Oh, that is another 6. Ah, okay. Let's just double check that. The plague hound's difficulty score is 10. I've rolled a 4. I can add 1 point for my brute ability and 1 for my hammer weapon. That is 6, and the difference between 10 and 6 is 4, so he's down to 0 hit points. And when a character's health points reach 0, they die. So, Pip bravely throws his 2 rations, it's kind of preserved meat, a bit like Spam, just 2 slices of Spam. He throws them at the ravenous plague hound, and it just ignores them because it can see fresh meat right in front of it, and it leaps through the air and bites into his face, eats his face, bites his neck, and completely destroys his entire body, and eats most of it. And leaves his green cloak lying on the floor of the opulent storeroom where he found the hound. And that is the end of Pip's little adventure. So yeah, that's a sad ending for Pip. He is hang on. I'm going to do this. KIA. Goodbye, Pip. All right. But anyway, yeah, I think that is a quite fun little way of doing a solo session. So that was Wallet Dungeons. Wallet Dungeons, I think, is pay what you want. I didn't actually check before I did the video. It's either pay what you want or free, or it was in a bundle that I got ages ago. So either way, I think it's very cheap if you do have to pay for it. So it was, Wallet Dungeons and Tunnel Goons. But, just look through your big folder of unplayed games on your hard drive and see what you've got. Or go on like Itch or Drivethru RPG and find a rules light free game that you can play and give it a go. It was fun, even though we didn't get any treasure or gold or anything, and we died. But I had a good time, especially with like the physical nature of dropping the dice onto the table to make the dungeon. I think that's a really nice thing, especially when it goes 3-dimensional, because you could have multiple floors of the tower as well. It could go up quite high if you were lucky. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. I guess I got to say all the usual stuff that I always forget, but like, if you liked it, give us a like, and you can subscribe as well. I never really say that. But hopefully I will see you again soon with either a new one-shot video or the next episode of Dungeon Crawl Classics solo playthrough that we're doing. Bye.